Oh my god, I hope this works.
Yeah, I do too.
All right. So this is Capsule. I am Sean.
And I am Andreas.
And you're live in Limbo. This is episode 2. And so this is kind of weird because I had this idea for this podcast to come out on January 1st. And it did, but I wanted this particular episode with the both of us to be that episode, but I was sick. So I'm happy that you took up the baton and you did the first episode and you based that off your top films list.
Well,
that was excellent.
Steal the show. That's about it.
Yeah, no, that was great. So at least we did have a show for January 1st. And I was surprised because it did pretty well, actually. Like, it was significant. Like,
I'm surprised.
I was expecting just the two of us, like two listens to be on it, and it was like 50.
No, there were 50 at that time.
50 full listens.
Wow.
But we got a significant amount of hits to the Live in Limbo website. So, like, it did generate quite a bit, like more than normal articles that we put up on the site. So that was unexpected and very nice.
Yeah, that's. I mean, 50 people put up with this for 40 minutes.
Yeah, I don't know how they just put up with you. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, I just rambled. That's about it. That's what I do. But
no, that's what we'll do. So this show will be about music, films, even some TV, but pop culture and entertainment in general.
Perfect.
But it will just be dialogue. There won't be any music at all.
God knows you don't want to have any visual. I mean, having to put up with looking at me.
No. I'm sure you're pretty good looking too.
Well, it's not that kind of show.
So the only thing visual that we have is the cover art that I made in like 20 minutes, but I'm kind of happy with it.
Oh, no, don't be modest. It looks awesome.
So do you know what that was? That was actually a photo I took a few days ago at Too Good Pond here in Unionville. That was right on the ice, and we were playing hockey, some of my friends and I just snapped that photo. I used an app that was like 99 cents on the iPhone. It's called Fragments. So then what it does is it kind of like you get these weird abstract patterns from your photo. Then I took that image, put it into Photoshop, and I gave us some nice big bold font for Capsule. And then I put our names on it, and that's how that came out.
That was it? That looks fantastic.
Oh, thank you.
That's crazy.
So, how was the weather for you? We got the Toronto ice storm.
Yeah, well, I have to work outside a lot, so this past week's not being that pleasant, having to be outside, carrying objects and whatnot, in what feels like minus 30. So...
Oh. You know, on that first day, on that Sunday, I lost power in my house for about 7 hours. I went straight to Starbucks. And I stayed there for about 4 hours.
No,
it was packed. That's great business marketing from
I didn't lose any power, but I mean, I just know from people I work with, I mean, I got it easy when it comes to where I work. There are people that work in traffic construction, like out on the road. I just help with the inventory. And on the road, people are working for like 140 hours a week. I calculated it. It's about 26 hours of just whatever rest you can get, eating, sleeping, getting back home. Just 26 hours a week because they were fixing traffic heads, power at people's houses, so people wouldn't be freezing, because some people still don't have power.
I know, that's really sad. But, like, if you're working outdoors, or you're going to be outdoors for a long time, you need to bundle up and put lots of layers on, like pants, too, and all of that. Otherwise, you'll get frostbites.
We got that construction attire on us. We've got sweatshirts. We've got an overjacket. We've got an actual winter coat on top. We've got... Some people have coveralls and overalls. They've got everything.
Safety first.
Oh, yeah, and all bright orange. So if they're working on the road, they can be seen.
Did you hear any of the frost quakes? Those big popping sounds that everyone's been hearing? It's kind of like a myth, but I've heard some.
No, I heard some.
I heard that if you do actually hear one, you can't like go back to sleep after, which was true for me when I heard it. It's like, what the heck was that?
no, it was definitely frightening. Um, I heard one, and it scared me. I heard another one, and I assumed, oh,
It's like it's a gunshot.
yeah. I heard a second one. I was like, oh, it's just one of those frostquakes or whatever. But then for some reason, it felt a lot more scary. So I went to go look outside, and actually, a tree that was so heavily frozen fell on top of my roof.
Oh, so that wasn't even the frostquake. That
No,
was something falling.
no. So ever since then, every frostquake's like, oh no, that's another tree. What? How am I gonna do?
Well, hopefully things get better soon. But like yesterday, as you said, was about minus 30. It's crazy.
Well, as long as it's not freezing rain anymore, and I mean the fact that we've got most of the houses dealt with, we still have a lot to go, but the fact that we've dealt with most, which isn't saying a lot because there's still so many people with power problems, but at least there's some sort of a huge improvement.
Godspeed, Toronto. Godspeed.
Godspeed you, Toronto.
All right, so let's do what we're here to do. So actually, when something interesting happened, because when you were making the top 25 album list of 2013, which I loved, and a lot of people loved that one.
Oh, thanks.
One cut you off by surprise, didn't it? That was Rival Dealer by Burial.
See, now here's the thing. It did, and it didn't catch me off guard because I've been a huge fan of Burial's for the longest time. And I'm somebody that wants him to just release a full album. He just has.
Yeah, I don't know why he doesn't. Yeah.
Well, he's got the EP, so at least he's releasing something.
Well, your mini review, when you briefly talked about it in your article, because it got an honorable mention. Yeah. It didn't actually make the list because it was too late, I guess. But you did mention it, and that brought it back to me too. I did listen to Burial before a long time ago, so
yeah.
Yeah, your list resurrected that for me. I really liked it, though.
Oh, it was fantastic. And yeah, it was too late. The problem is, it was too late that once I had my songs list, that album to me didn't even exist. Or the EP, rather, didn't even exist. And if it did before, then I would have... Sorry, hang on. Oh, it's still recording. Sorry.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
It just hiccuped. If it did before, then I would have included one or two songs, or actually just one song because it's one per artist. But I would have included "Come Down to Us" on my best songs list, if not one of the top songs on the list, possibly even the first one.
Well, actually, I love the first one the most. Actually, so yeah, there's only 3 tracks on it, but it's almost like 7, right?
Oh yeah.
With the transitions and everything.
Well, that's what Trent and Rough Sleeper is like, the previous EP, where it's 2 songs, but it has so many movements that it feels like more.
So, when we dig in a little more, Rival Dealer, I thought that was the best track. It was amazing and thrilling. Kind of reminded me of like a dark thriller movie almost. And at the very beginning, do you know Skinny Puppy?
Oh yeah, I used to love.
Yeah, so it kind of reminds me of Protest, that song, a little bit.
Oh, a little bit.
Right at the yeah. Did you get that too?
Now I do.
Oh, did you? Okay.
I didn't think of it before, actually, but yeah, now I definitely hear it, yeah.
But this entire EP is all about transition. So in Rival Dealer, when it hits that 7-minute and 40 mark, it goes from that thrill and it just snaps into like something beautiful and dramatic. And then the dialogue that they use, I don't know, did he sample the dialogue in that from somewhere else?
Well, he almost always samples dialogue. I don't know if he's ever included his own kind of recorded vocals, but he usually has sparse samples, like in Untrue, the actual song Untrue. He had a repeating Beyonce sample that he pitched to make it sound like it was a guy speaking, which I thought was clever because it's basically a lie of somebody protesting that somebody else is lying, which I thought was creative. But yeah, like it was just a one sample, except for one at the very beginning. I don't know what it was, but there were 2 samples in that song basically, and they would repeat. And it'd be like that for a lot of his albums, or EPs rather. But on Rival Dealer, like the entire album, there's just so many different samples, and even some that you can painfully pick out, or not painfully, but like are so obvious that you can pick out. Like he used the sample from Aliens again, the "There's Something Out There" sample that he used on I believe it was.
Oh, is that from Aliens? No, because I wrote down a quote. I want to say it right now. So at the end, the last quote is, "This is the best way to go. That way, you can see the city lights brighter than ever, and the stars and constellations.
Yeah.
And it's breathtaking. The star field is just so spectacular. And one day, I saw something come down to us." I love that.
That's fantastic. Just all of the purposes for these samples, like it's more than just what they're saying literally. The most clever one, I think, and everybody's commented on it, so it's hard to not pay a lot of attention to this, was what's her name now? The Wachowski sister, the one who just changed genders.
Oh,
it's Lana, right?
I think so. We'll have to look that up later.
I'll look it up
what
now,
happened?
so
Yeah.
I can
Okay.
actually not call her the wrong thing. But yeah, her speech when she had like that 40-minute long speech about how she came out and how she decided to finally go forth and become a woman, because it's something. It is Lana Wachowski.
Okay, that's perfect.
What she faced with her entire life, that this wasn't some recent transition. This is something that she faced when she was a kid, and only her brother, which is why they have such a close bonding, was any wiser of what her situation was. Instead of shifting it like he did with Beyonce's, or having some sort of a really short clip so you can't really tell where it's from, like what he did with Inland Empire at the very beginning of the Untrue album. Just things where it's like, oh, what is that? Let me go look this up. If you've heard the speech, you know flat out that it's her, because he includes such a long portion that's not altered or anything, that it's actually like listening to highlights of her speech yet again. And he sparsely does interviews, and he did one for Rival Dealer. Well, rather, he didn't do an interview, but he just texted, I think, a journalist that he felt close to, I guess, and he said that Rival Dealer deserved to have its meaning expressed by the person who created it, and he said that Rival Dealer as a whole album was for anybody who felt bullied and isolated and whatnot. It's for them to cling on to something, while his other albums might have felt a little bit more, not cynical, but hyper-realistic. Rival Dealer was a lot more magical sounding, and that's why it sounds so much more ambitious and less cold. It sounds a lot warmer than anything else he's ever done. And
I love Rival Dealer, but I think he's being humble and a little modest, because he said I think he tweeted, but then it got removed. But he said it was his worst album.
Oh,
but I think he's just being modest there. It's
no,
amazing.
No, it's not his worst. It's not even close. When did he tweet that? How far afterwards?
I don't know. I think it was like December 13th. When was this released? About that same time. It's probably like a week later or something.
Maybe. Oh, why would you say that? It's fantastic.
Well, he only has 2 tweets, and I think that was one, and then it got removed, so it only has 1 now.
So weird.
But people have like a screenshot of it, so you can look that up later. I'll put it in the show notes or something.
Oh, look it up now.
And then the last track, so the Hiders, the second one, was it's like a grand piano masterpiece. I love that.
Oh, with the catchy ending, that was fantastic.
But other than that, I don't have anything else to say about that one. But like Come Down to Us, the last track, was like a crazy trip. I loved when they said, there's one quote in there that says, "Don't be afraid to step into the unknown."
Yeah.
And then boom. So that one felt like 3 songs put into one, wasn't it? How did you feel about that last track?
About Come Down to Us?
Yeah.
For me, it was more like 2, because I don't consider Lana Wachowski's speech as a track, but I consider it more as an epilogue almost. Like,
but you know, the ending to the track, it's also at the 7:40 mark as well, like Rival Dealer. But like that's when the big snap transaction into a triumphant ending begins. So I love the changes there.
Yeah, it's good. I still see it as 2, but there are definitely 2 different movements in both Rival Dealer and in Come Down to Us, which is something that he's experimented with a few times with on his EP Kindred, with Rough Sleep with Truant, and with Rival Dealer now.
So hopefully he makes like a full album.
Uh,
Why not? 2014, let's do it.
yeah, so I just looked up the tweet. It says Rival Dealer release is probably my worst, but I know you guys will love it, which
We do.
oh, absolutely.
Everyone does.
Apparently, he deleted it after only minutes afterwards.
See, I had to download it illegally at the beginning because it was not on RDO yet. It came on RDO like the Tuesday after. So that's one crappy thing about streaming music. You gotta wait.
Yeah, what I personally believe with streaming music is this is going to sound wrong on my part, but I think pornography's got it set. Where if you have a website with a ton of adverts, but you have the streaming content for free, then that's how you're making your money. And I think labels and I think studios should get into that. I mean, if
No, okay, but this is a great transition again because today Billboard announced that for the first time, like 2013 was the first time since iTunes was launched in 2003, that digital track sales, like downloads, fell 5.7% from 1.34 billion units to just 1.26. But the digital album sales only fell 0.1%, which is not too bad.
that's not
But
bad.
that's saying something about like the downloading of individual tracks, right?
Oh, for sure. I mean,
Because there's so many streaming services now.
yeah.
I personally use RDO. I don't use iTunes anymore unless they have like those free songs of the day. I use RDO. People use Spotify. I wish we had Spotify, but we don't have that in Canada. And then iTunes Radio, that's Apple's streaming solution. That's in the US only, and it should be coming to Canada early this year, but it's not here yet. So, but like this says a lot,
I wouldn't
right?
hold my breath on that. Remember, Did you ever use Pandora when it was
No,
legal?
I did not.
I remember when I was just hooked to my computer all the time. Like I played Warcraft for hours on end. I played Counter Strike for hours on end. So I was just always on my computer. So that's why I didn't miss Pandora when I was younger. I might have been 13 when it was actually working, and I discovered the bands I discovered on Pandora were actually Skinny Puppy. To be honest, was one of them.
Nice.
I discovered Placebo. I discovered who else did I discover? This is like over 10 years ago.
But I just think streaming makes so much more sense because you can discover so much more, and they all have these. Like RDO has this function where you can do autoplay after you make your playlist, and it finishes. It finds similar music like immediately,
Yeah.
and you can just browse everything and listen to it in a snap. You don't need to wait 30 seconds to download something and think about if you really want to pay $1.29 for a track. Like,
And that's why most people download. It's a preview.
But like albums on iTunes, like a whole album, why would anyone pay $9 or more while they could pay that $9.99 for a monthly subscription to RDO and get unlimited music, and you could still sync your playlist to play offline. So like,
Not even
I
just
don't know
that.
why anyone.
I mean, what with this whole chaos and hysteria about downloading and what they're going to do, I think they're forgetting about demographics. You and I are music collectors. What would you rather have? Pay like the ability to pay money for just an audio file, or do you want the actual album in your hands, opening it up, have the package there, put the album in your car, put it in your stereo, put it anywhere? Like
That's the thing too. Okay,
Yeah.
so yeah, I love the idea of having something physical, but like having RDO on your Mac, like the RDO app, and then you have it on your iPhone and you have it on your tablet. It syncs. Like you don't need to do anything. I love the convenience and simplicity of it. For me, I need to consume as much as possible, as fast as possible.
exactly. And the thing,
So what do you think? Do you prefer physical CDs
Oh,
and
absolutely.
albums? You do? Okay.
the only time I've ever bought digitally was when My Bloody Valentine's newest album, MBV, was online, and the only way you could hear the album was when you bought it, and they would send you the physical disc. They would also send you digital files that you would pay like a little bit extra for. So that was it. I wasn't going to wait. After years and years of waiting, I wasn't going to wait until I got my album in the mail, which took like 3 weeks. I needed those audio files, so I put the bullet. And you know what? For my
But so you agree there that digital files are faster,
yeah,
to consume,
yeah,
and accessibility wise.
But at the same time, I feel like that's why a lot of popular music is lazier because.
But the quality on CD is not that great, like compared to like. So on CDs, I think it's like 66 kilobytes or something, and your streaming files are at least 192 kilobytes per second, and then like master files from iTunes are 320. But like both of those are significantly higher than the quality you'll get from a CD.
Yeah, but
so yeah,
they also sound a certain way too. Like I'm somebody who, when it comes to older films, I don't want them to always be restored entirely. Like I like the graininess to it; it adds something. And sometimes with albums, that album sound adds something to it. That's why vinyl are coming back. Apart from the fact that vinyl also have a lot more layering and depth that you can't get from digital sound.
I think that's a big debate right now because I've heard from two people who are in the recording industry. One's Aga Bahari, who's one of our writers on Live and Limbo. He's you know him. He's a voting member of the Grammy and Junos.
Right.
But he said in school, they had this debate, and they actually found that, you know, the digital files today are pretty good. Like they hold their own against vinyl and CDs.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Even so, I still want something physical. I want the.
Yeah, I know.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, but you can't carry the physical thing around with you everywhere. You have to carry that CD with you everywhere.
I carry it in my car all the time.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah.
I just sync my iPhone and whatever.
I have my iPod too. I've got an auxiliary cable, but I like having the album.
Yeah. I guess different people consume their music in different ways.
Oh yeah.
But anyway, so from that Billboard article I was talking about where the digital track sales were falling. So you want to guess what the top album of sales of last year was? Of
sales. Okay, yeah. So it's going to be something poppy, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with either Miley Cyrus or Lady Gaga.
No, actually, it was Justin Timberlake and the 22 Experience.
That scared me for a second. I thought you were going to bring up another Justin of whom we won't speak.
Oh, no. I think he's
good for him. You know, 2020 was actually really good. It almost made my list, but it was one that just missed the mark. Mm-hmm. But wait, was it the part 1 that made it or part 2?
I don't know. It just says 2020 Experience. And then Eminem's LP 2 was second.
Well, the first 2020 Experience was actually fantastic. I really liked it a lot. 2020 Part 2, I don't think needed to happen whatsoever.
Well, I think that was Part 1 then. It didn't say Part 2.
It must have been Part 1 because that's the album with Mirrors and with Suit and Tie on it.
And then guess what the top selling single was?
Blurred Lines?
Yeah, it was. Robin Thicke featuring Pharrell. I like Pharrell. Pharrell's cool.
It depends what Pharrell does.
His collaborations with Daft Punk, amazing.
I like that.
I love them.
Get Lucky was something that when it first came out, like I was hearing all of these people looping the samples without Pharrell in them or anything before the song was even released.
Oh, really?
I was even hooked by then. That the song came out, I was hooked. I got sick of it when it was on the radio, but once I revisited it at the end of the year, I was like, no, this is good. I like it.
I guess at times it could get a little repetitive, but that's what they do. Daft Punk is like that. That's what they excel at, repetitiveness.
Yeah, at the same time, they could be too repetitive. I mean, Human After All was known for being way too repetitive, and they actually made it in... People debate if it's 2 weeks or 6 weeks that they recorded that album. Like, from scratch, they did everything in like 2 weeks or 6 weeks. Nonetheless, you can hear it, and that's brutally repetitive. Some songs it works with, like Making Love, the title track, Human After All. Even Prime Time of Your Life, which what they do at the end where they repeat it into oblivion where it speeds up and up faster and faster. But some songs it doesn't work. Some songs. Like Technologic, for me, a lot of people love that song. I don't like it that much.
You don't? Yeah, same here.
And
then, second was Thrift Shop by Macklemore. I actually like that. The Heist.
I'm not big on that.
No? He did the duet live with like... what's his song?
I appreciate Macklemore, but I'm not big on him. if that makes
No,
sense.
maybe he's just a fad. I don't know. We'll see.
Could be.
But my girl Lorde was, she came in at 5th with Royals.
Well, there you go.
So, yeah, she also did not make our top song or album list.
Oh, I'm aware of that because I put them together.
and so explain why that was again.
Great. So if we ever get bigger and we put her on the show, you're gonna play this and be like, "Look at this asshole."
Yeah, that's what I'm planning to do.
Excellent.
We'll reference back to this.
Excellent.
But she's 16. Well, when she recorded it, right? Now she's 17. But like,
which is fantastic. Yeah, and you know what? I have respect for her. I was put off by her before with some of her comments she made, but of course I separate artistry from the artists themselves. Like otherwise, I would have hated Jesus because Kanye West is just being a huge asshole.
Lorde loves Kanye West.
Well, there you go. They're a match made in heaven. Yeah. Get rid of Kim. No. When Lorde's old enough, go with her.
Yeah, well, no, not love him like that, but
I'm kidding.
She loves his music.
No, I'm kidding. No, that's the thing. Like, a lot of people love Kanye's music. They just can't stand half of the things that he's saying right now.
I don't know how he's so good that he can be an ass, but get away with it.
Well, what he said back in
and
08,
people will still love him.
What he said back in 08, which is maybe his most overlooked year, because that's when he did 808s and a Heartbreak, which...
Oh, yeah. Love. Yeah.
Yes. People either love it or they hate it. That's like when people started jumping off the Kanye train until 2010. What he said, which is one of his most overlooked things, was... I don't know word for word, because I don't memorize quotes.
Okay, so paraphrase it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'll paraphrase it. What he said basically was, to be able to make the music I want, I have to stay relevant. However, I will still want to make the music I want. I don't want to have to make the music that I'm told to do. So the only ways to do that, to stay relevant, are to succumb to what people expect of you, which he doesn't want, or to stay alive in the media with any means necessary. So he's basically willing to sacrifice his image for the
sake of his music.
Yeah, to have the ability to do whatever music he wants and have complete control.
Ah, that's pretty interesting. So, so he's thought it out then.
Of course he has. And I mean, okay, maybe
he broke the options down, and he clearly chose a path, and it's working.
Basically. Now, I'm not going to say that excuses him of half of the things that he's been saying, but of course, there is still some thought behind there. I mean, this guy was an art student, let's not forget, initially. He lived in Hong Kong, actually.
Kanye West?
Yeah, he lived in Hong Kong. Really? Mandarin, I think. Either Mandarin or Cantonese, I can't remember.
What? Okay, I did not know that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, look it up. I'm serious. He lived there, so he's got that's why a lot of graduations, artwork and whatnot was very anime influenced.
Okay, props. Respect going up for him.
Oh yeah, and like he had a tough life living at home, just with a single with a single mom, having to provide for her. That's why he got into producing, and he wanted to get into rapping, and that kind of became a reality after he got into a car accident with the whole Through the Wire thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he recorded a song with his mouth wired shut, started realizing his dreams. And I guess because he had like a really artistic kind of mind, he had that goal of not wanting to sacrifice his music, but to sacrifice his image. He had the single mom that basically said, you can do this, you've got this, you're providing for both of us, you're the man. That's where that ego comes in. The fact that...
And that's really interesting.
Yeah, if you think about it, I mean, like he's got his ways of trying to express himself. And he's got his mom. Like, his mom, when his mom passed away, was a huge blow to him, of course. Like, it would be for anybody, but...
Oh, yeah, he was crying. Yeah, anyone would be sad.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah. But you could even tell, like, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy came, and that was him basically saying, yes, I've got an ego, but look what it's cost me. But then, once he's slowly starting to get over that fact that he's by himself now, and he's his own kind of... She's not there to bring him down to earth or anchor him anymore.
No.
So look at
that part of his life is gone.
Yeah, look at Useless. So it's his most outspoken album.
And many would say his most innovative too. Would you say that? Like, it's really out there.
I don't know if
could it be his Kid A?
Well, I called it as Kid A when I
Oh
did
yeah,
it.
you did.
Yeah, exactly.
That's where I got that from. That's from you. I referenced you.
I made an imprint on somebody. That's good. No, to me it is Kid A little bit because with hip hop you can't experiment too much. I mean, you have artists that do try and like go outside of the molds. I believe Shabazz Palace is how you pronounce that. Our duo that I think there's two of them. I don't know. I can't look it up right now.
Okay.
That do try and break the mold, and obviously Death Grips, who go way outside of the boundaries. But I find Death Grips way too chaotic to be kind of Kid A, even though Yeezus is very chaotic. It has moments that you can breathe in and whatnot, kind of like Kid A does with Tree Fingers and whatnot. Like I consider the ending of New Slaves were just this radical, different kind of relaxing moment on the album, comparable with Tree Fingers on Kid A, where it's this thing that kind of comes out of nowhere. It doesn't really fit too much with the album, but at the same time, it does perfectly because it's that breathing moment you need, that moment of realism where it's like, okay, I'm on the right track. So on your first listen, you know exactly where you stand. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As for his most innovative, I'm not entirely sure. I mean, it's his most riskiest. Is that riskiest?
Well, would you say Kid A was Radiohead's most innovative or riskiest?
I would say it's their most innovative.
Okay, so that's a little different than Kanye's. Kanye's was the most risky one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I think all of his albums are highly innovative. I mean, everybody's been influenced by some sort. The whole high-pitched soul sample thing that started after College Dropout, bringing in the symphonies and whatnot after Late Registration. Drake said he was hugely influenced by Graduation and the house upbeat kind of tempos that he was bringing in on that. 808's just kind of slowly influencing people still. Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy hasn't been touched upon just yet by people because it's still so fresh, but it's also it's being considered like hip hop's Sgt. Pepper's. It's being considered.
That's pretty impressive.
That's huge, but at the same time, the comparisons are there. I mean, Sgt. Pepper's had that whole. I mean, it's a loose concept, yes, but the concept's still there, where it's basically they're putting on a show, they're realizing that they are performers, and then they go back to their daily lives. And what are their daily lives? Like A Day in the Life talks about people dying in car accidents, just going. I think it's just going to school, on top of the bus, smoking, realizing what life's all about. That's what it is. And for Kanye West, his life was, I'm big, I know that, but I've also turned myself into the devil, and people hate me. So at what point? And one of the most clever lines that he's actually ever done, because he's done some silly ones, but one of his most clever was on All of the Lights when he says he doesn't want his daughter to grow up in a better university. Now, that sounds stupid on paper, but if you look at what his first three albums are called, College Dropout, Late Registration, Graduation, he's referencing himself. He doesn't want his daughter to grow up within his own path, to find out what life's all about through his eyes, and have all of that hatred spew towards him no matter what he does. It's very creative.
Yeah, I never thought about it like that.
Whereas Yeezus is, I am a god. Yeezus is, I've got
he broke out, and he's like super confident now.
Yeah, and he's speaking on behalf of all of the race issues that we have, saying that...
And he doesn't give a crap about anyone anymore. It's just him now.
To an extent. He's still very outspoken about other people and whatnot, but when it comes to his own ego, he's basically very inflated on Yeezus. I mean, it's called Yeezus.
I guess he has to be.
Well, that's the thing. It's a very powerful album. Now, why it's not his most innovative to me is a lot of people are comparing it to Death Grips, which I get a little bit of a comparison, but people saying that he stole entirely from Death Grips, I don't see it at all. It's not nearly as manic. It's not nearly as out of control. It's a lot more, what's the word? Much more obtainable. And it's a lot easier to get than Death Grips. But maybe the basic ideas, and like, this is a Skinny Puppy episode, clearly. I got moments of Skinny Puppy from Yeezus.
Oh, really?
Especially from I Am a God. I got industrial bands from the 80s. I got Skinny Puppy feels there. I got Wumscut. I got Nitzareb. just that pounding bass and just those really eerie sounds from the 80s. Yeah, I got 80s industrial from that. So
I love industrial. Oh my, we're actually referencing Skinny Puppy more than I expected, which is pretty amazing. Well, are they doing anything anymore, or what are they doing?
I have no idea.
We'll look it up for next week.
I think Lorde produced something lately. I don't know what he produced though, but it was something noteworthy. I'll look him up.
I love that stuff back in the day in high school. But okay, so we have like 3 generations of people who are influencing each other. So Kanye West influences Drake.
Yeah.
And then Lorde actually listens to both of them leading up to her production of Pure Heroin. Did you know that?
Yeah, you can get a bit of a sense there. I mean, once you showed me to the fact that she grew up to metal. What was? Oh yeah, she was singing.
She listens to Fleetwood Mac from her parents.
Yeah, but she was singing Dio, which
yeah.
That was impressive. I like what 12.
When she was 12, that was in like a battle of the bands thing at her school.
That's impressive.
Yeah, but like so, she shared her top 10 songs of 2013 to Triple J. Number 1 was "Hold My Liquor" by Kanye West. 2 was "Hold On, We're Going Home" by Drake, which I love. I love that track too. Both of the popular Daft Punk tracks are on it, "Get Lucky" and "Doing It Right."
Oh, I love that one.
She loves James Blake's "Overgrown." I like that too. And "Magical Clouds." That's one I did not expect to see on there. They're from Montreal.
Yep.
The track "I Do Sing For You." Oh, that's powerful, raw, just vocals right there.
No, it's good stuff. And wait, this is her list, you said?
Yeah, this is her list.
Interesting.
And she has Major Lazer on there and Drops by Jungle, which is also pretty cool.
Interesting.
And number 10 is by Lo Fang. I guess he's kind of like a up and coming guy too from California, I think. But he's going to be opening for her on her upcoming 2014 tour, and which will also be at the Sound Academy on March 15.
Cool.
Which I'm going to go to.
Oh, you should.
She's just so cool live. It's mesmerizing almost.
Okay, my thing with Lorde is I think when she was saying a lot of outspoken things, she was just starting to get into the whole mainstream of things. And perhaps she's realizing now that you can't use everything as a platform. Because I think she's apologized to a lot of people that she spoke out against.
Yeah, well, she's admitted that she's never had any media training, and she's just a normal high school, from high school. Like,
yeah,
she's gonna say things that just come from her mind, but she now knows otherwise.
And I mean,
not all of the negative things she said was true either. Like she said Justin Bieber, like supposedly she said Justin Bieber and the One Direction guys were ugly, but that was not true because I could never find any kind of formal reference to that. And then all of those people just hated on her and her boyfriend, which was ugly and disgusting.
But that's not good. The pop universe is really difficult. Before I get into that, yeah, I gave Pure Heroin a listen. I gave it a few listens, and I do think it's good. I just think like it's a good start. It didn't hit me the way that my top albums or songs have, but in the near future,
is it too simple or what?
No, they're not too simple, but I mean,
like Pitchfork only gave it a 7.3, while Magical Clouds Impersonator got 8 or something like that, 8.1.
For anybody who's not Pitchfork privy, by the way, 7.3 is actually pretty low. It's pretty much saying that the album is just okay.
Yeah, I love Pitchfork though.
I do, but you just got to get used to the way that they scale things because it's like, 7, that's not bad.
They're very harsh. They're very harsh.
Oh yeah, they can be. But yeah, the pop universe. Speaking of being harsh, the pop universe is a nightmare. Actually, for those who don't know, Sean and I were trying to find a way to possibly start with me doing interviews, and our first goal was when Lady Gaga did her private show in Toronto. We wanted to try and hook something up, contacting management and all that. Didn't work out, obviously, but
that's so impossible to do.
Well, we tried to aim high.
Yeah, and we tried.
When I was trying to do some research on that, let's look at the comments that I got on.
Oh my God, your comments! That's our highest viewed album review, and there's like 90 comments, like not even short, like, oh, good album review. It's like paragraphs and paragraphs
of me getting ripped apart. Now,
oh my God.
after that, ever since that, I don't care if it's a positive comment or a negative one. I vow to never reply to a single one again. Not just because,
So did that turn you off from Lady Gaga or what?
well, no, but I just don't want to reply to comments because
You were famous.
I was becoming very unprofessional.
You were in the spotlight, so you got to see the dark side of it, what it turns someone into. So you can imagine like someone like Lorde, who was just a normal teenager, then all of a sudden, all this hate comes on.
You're right. And I should
you got a taste of
adults.
that.
You're right.
That's why people love their privacy.
Oh yeah, I mean, I appreciate negative comments, except that these ones felt like they came.
Those were hate, douchey
That's
comments.
the thing. Within the pop realm, you're not going to find that. If Lorde sang a song that became as big as Bohemian Rhapsody or something, but you're a fan of Lana Del Rey, you'll be like, Lorde shit, because Lana Del Rey is who I follow, and I don't want any competition on the charts. That's what it is, and it's a very sick kind of crowd. I mean, I used to be a big metalhead. I don't know if you remember from back in high school. I was a big metalhead. That's all I listened to. But I found that a lot of the fan base that secured themselves within just metal, and similar to the fans that just secure themselves within pop, get this unrealistic notion of how the world works. Like with pop, it's about the charts and competition. Like an artist is, quote unquote, a flop if they're not number one, or if they're not in the top 10. Within metal, it's if they're very successful, a lot of people will be turned off because suddenly their private clubs being exposed to the world. Like Sunbather, Def Leppard's album, which was one of my top picks of last year, was so critically. It was the highest rated album on Metacritic.
Wow.
The first time a metal band's ever done that, or even come close. It was so critically acclaimed by so many people that
it turned people off.
It turned a lot of metal fans off.
That's so stupid.
Well, that's kind of what happens when it happened to me for sure. Like when I would listen to bands that got big when I was a teenager. Of course, I'd be like, "Oh no, I have less respect for them now, whatever." But it is stupid. In the end,
no, I think if you like the band and they stay true to what they do. So, like for me in high school, I remember listening to Arcade Fire when Rebellion just came out, and they used to open for a band called Wolf Parade, and then now, like a few years ago, they won a freaking Grammy, and then I know people that hate them now just because they won a Grammy, but like I still love their album, and they're really good. Everyone loves them.
Doors here, 4chan. 4chan, the Moo's section, I don't know how you pronounce that, M-U, Moo. I used to go on it, and they're very anti-Arcade Fire now because of the fact that they won a Grammy.
Isn't that okay? So, like, what did they want them to do?
I'm not sure. I mean, I think
you want to see your favorite bands that you quote unquote discovered, and you thought you were hip because you found them. Like, you want them to succeed, don't you?
I'm very anti-Grammy as well because I think they've got a lot of fixing up to do. I'll get into that.
So do you think they should have, like,
I don't care if
denied the Grammy?
No. Like, not even, like, if they wanted the Grammy, fine. That means absolutely nothing to me.
Yeah, but why do people hate them? You shouldn't hate them because of that.
Well, I think this is about them. This isn't about me personally because I don't feel the same way as they do. Obviously, now I'm a lot more open-minded. I think they felt that The Suburbs was their weakest album initially before they even won. And once they won, I guess that was like, oh, that's why it was their weakest to us, because it was them becoming mainstream.
Oh, I see what you're getting at.
Yeah, and that whole thing with Lana Del Rey didn't even release an album yet. And when she just had Video Games and Blue Jeans and the odd song, she was already getting slammed by so many people saying she's breaking out into the mainstream. And I know a lot of what she is based on image, because she's going for what she calls a gangster Nancy Sinatra. And of course, you need the image for that. You need to be that personality, which she is, I guess.
I actually love Lana Del Rey.
Born to Die.
Her music, but people they bashed on her for her performance.
And for the music as well, I guess, because of the fact that she tried to open up.
She tried too hard, or what?
No, she tried to open up to the media and to the mainstream audience through indie kind of sounds, like with old looking footage for her videos and whatnot, and like that Baroque pop kind of sound. And
so what's the solution? Like, what should an
there is no
artist
solution.
do?
There is no
Like,
solution.
they need to make a living too, right? But so like people's taste changes. So I think everyone's like that. Like in high school, I would listen to like one genre of music, and I would say, oh, I love what, like rock or like something like that. Then I'd move on to like indie rock. But then later in life, you find out that you can like all of them, and you can just say that you love the best in each genre.
Well, what the
and
best
those
to you is.
Yeah, what the best to you is, and whatever makes you happy, happy. That's what they're for.
That's what music should be. It should be about what you like the most. And
I don't think anyone should ever just listen to one type of music only. That's cutting yourself off.
well, the way I see it is a lot of music is discovered either when you're a kid or when you're a teenager, and what's happening during that, and you're discovering yourself, you're becoming a part of groups of people, and while you may grow out of those groups socially when you're older, you get fixated on those genres because that's what you grew up with, basically, and you're not finding yourself anymore. You found yourself. You're a metalhead, or you found yourself. You're into hip-hop. You found yourself. And because you've got that secure, then you have those topics to talk about with people. I don't think people are scared to branch out, but I think they just feel so secure that they don't feel the need to.
I think people are afraid to admit what they like as well.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
like in high school, I think I found myself with Linkin Park. I could relate to them. They had like 2 Asian people in the band, which was unheard of. But a lot of people made fun of them because they were like this weird mix of rock and rap, right?
Did they really make
but
fun of them?
Yeah, lots of people made fun of them. I knew lots of people that were in like Battle of the Bands or whatever. They'd rip on them for that. But like fast forward to 2012 and 13, it's all about fusion now.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's fusing. And then for them, it's weird because they kind of moved away from that. But
yeah, of course. Well, that's just kind of how it is. In the end, you just got to make music for yourself because you'll always.
You said in the end.
Oh, that was not.
that was their song.
I know. I just got that now. No, at the end of the day,
that was an awesome track. That was an
at
awesome
the end
track.
of the day, so we avoid that pun again. You got to make music for yourself because here's the catch-22 that will happen to almost every single artist that has at least one fan. At least one fan. If they make a new album like Arcade Fire did, they made an album that was disco-influenced, or even Daft Punk made an album that was disco-influenced, like a disco revival. He had people saying, what is this? I don't want a new disco album. I want them to go back to their roots. Now, if they made a Discovery Part 2 or a Funeral Part 2, this band stopped branching out. That's it. They're done. They have no creativity left. They have to resort to what they did initially. Yeah. You'll always get that. And then you'll always get people saying, I like this disco sound. This is a great experiment. Or I like the fact that they're sticking to their roots. It's what they're best at. But of course, you'll always have on either side of the pond. Like, there's no way to escape it, especially with 7 billion people in the world now, with the internet limiting how far we really are. It's impossible. And that's why when I put my ARTPOP review out or whatever, and I had all of the hatred just because of people.
What was the most hate-fueled comment that you got? Do you remember?
The one that
or do you want to not remember
on?
that? No, like that you got, that someone put on there.
I stopped reading them after I stopped replying.
What was the last one that you remember, though? Did they actually hate on you or the article?
Yeah, people saying, I don't know what I was talking about. People saying that, why am I even a writer? Because I thought that this was good. Roger Ebert thought that Speed 2 was good. Was he not considered the best reviewer in the film industry?
Absolutely.
And he was the only person professionally to like Speed 2. And you know what he did? He said, fuck it. I like it. I don't even care.
Yeah.
And that's me with ARTPOP. You know what? I liked it. I don't even care. That's my personal opinion.
Well, I think you have, like, you as a person, you have a reputation, and I think people don't know that yet. But, like, you listen to music like it's your life for so long. You're like a Wikipedia to me.
Well, you
know everything, and you have a degree in fine arts.
Well, in film studies.
So you have credentials.
But what somebody
those people, they have no. That's what I don't like about comments online and stuff. I like when journalists have some kind of credibility, and we post like your Twitter account and your email so people can contact you. But I don't like those people that are anonymous and they just put some troll message out there and they're gone the next day.
One comment that kind of brought me down to earth and made me realize that I don't ever want to comment. I never want to reply to comments again. This one guy and I were debating, and I threw out the fact that yes, I have a degree, and what he said was, "Why do you feel the need to you have to throw that out?" And that was one of the few things I'll say. Okay, he was right. What was the point? And then suddenly I realized that my ego was basically being inflated by the fact that I was replying to these people like, I wrote the article, you don't know what you're talking about, kind of thing. Which I wasn't, but I started to feel that I was going down that path, and I don't want to. And in the end, as you said, there's always going to be people who hate on things, so there's no point in even trying. It's not because I'm ashamed, it's not because I don't want to get into these fights with people or whatever. It's because I started becoming unprofessional. And if I want to make it far, I don't want that reputation. And that's the most viewed article I have. So what does that say about myself? You know what I mean? People are seeing
so that. It's like you're high and you're low at the same time.
Yep.
So in that case, that's all about comments then. Like lately I've seen a trend of huge websites like the New York Times and an Apple blogger called Daring Fireball. They don't actually have any comments on their website.
But I think
it's focusing just on their content. What do you think about that?
I think initially you need comments if you're trying to still elevate your status as a reviewer, because you need people to try and join in. If people don't have the ability to join in, then it's
not a conversation.
Of course, but they still want to add their 2 cents.
Yeah.
When Pitchfork's never had comments or forums or anything.
No, they'd get so much crap.
Oh yeah, but when they first started, there weren't any social networks. There was no need to. So, but nowadays you have to. Nowadays you do. That's why YouTube has comments.
And that's where all the crap comes from. YouTube comments.
Think about it. When you place a comment and somebody replies, and then you reply, and then they reply, and then you reply, and then etc. You keep going back to that video. So that video is raking in more views, which is raking in more money.
Those people at Google are so clever in their marketing.
Except for like Google Plus shit.
Well, that's the issue, right? They merged Google Plus with the YouTube comments thing, and everything's messed up now.
Okay, is it just me, or when you try to see a previous comment, like if it says you were to reply to viewer 1, if you click on viewer 1 to see what they said, it opens a new window. Is that just me, or does that happen to you too?
I think I noticed that too.
Why does it do that? That's such a pain in the ass.
No, it's like, I don't know, it's weird. People hate it. There's like a song. Some girl wrote a song and posted that on YouTube, and like they do this weird thing now where the top comments by viewers are like ranked. Okay. So actually all the comments for her hate video were like, oh, G plus is not that bad. And it's like weird.
Mm-hmm.
Oh well.
I'm not a fan of it.
No, me either. All right, let's talk about another album. So
that was a transition.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, but so we're going to try like touch on a few albums in our podcast on Capsule. But like, so ideally we'd review or talk about something brand new, but it's a new year. So let's talk about Blood Orange, Cupid Deluxe. That was released on November 13th.
Yeah.
I love this album. This album has so many great tracks. Like it is what it is constantly plays in my head.
Yeah. I thought it was pretty good. That's about it for me.
Oh, yeah, because that didn't make it onto your list, did it?
No, it didn't. But actually, when I make these lists, I end up having like 40 or 50 plus, like the amount of albums or films or whatever I have, they'll rank immensely. So then it's like, okay, which of these do I pick? Blood Orange was on there, and
oh, it was. Okay.
It was. It was there for consideration, but
why didn't it make it? I don't know. It just feels so groovy, and
it is groovy.
It's sensual.
It is. It's fantastic, but it felt very samey for me.
Very what?
Samey. Like,
samey.
Which is
like
good.
all the tracks sounded the same, or it sounded the same as his previous albums?
Neither. It's more like each song had like a similar kind of vibe.
Yeah, I guess so.
Which, if you could pull off a full album, bravo, that's fantastic, and he did. But when it came, because that's when you review an album by itself, you're not reviewing it with other things. It's not like, oh, well, Daft Punk's album was good, but Arcade Fire did Disco better, or anything. You're not going to do that. So you're not going to put it lower. But when you're doing an end-of-the-year list where you are literally ranking albums, you do have to kind of put it up against what other albums are bringing. And compared to the other albums that I had, which were a lot more diverse and had like a lot of different sounds and just different emotions and feelings, Blood Orange was an album was like, if I'm in a specific mood, I'll put it on, or Cupid Deluxe is the album. In a specific mood, I'll put it on, appreciate what it has. But an album like Random Access Memories, for instance, I could put on virtually whenever and I'll get something from it. Vampire Weekend's album, Modern Vampires in the City, I could put on whenever, get something from it. I kind of had to be in the mood for Blood Orange, which definitely ranked it lower than some of the other ones, and it just slowly just didn't make the list. But it is.
How is that process of taking, whether it's the songs of the year or albums of the year, but how is that process of gathering all the stuff that you liked from the last year, you put it out all on a table, and then you have to pick 25 of them?
It's tough. Throughout the year, on my computer...
But do you have like notes written on each one of them?
That
like
I do
with
have
a
notes.
Number?
That I do have notes.
Okay.
Because I said I don't bring notes to podcasts, which I don't. It's probably evident by now.
No, it's fine.
That's good.
That's my job, I guess.
I improvise for that. But for this, I kind of have to. Like, if I notice an album or a film I like, I'll instantly... I always have a few programs open on my laptop all the time. It's my internet. I've got my iTunes, which I shut down sometimes if my computer's running really slowly. And I've got my notepad, always open. And I'm always jotting down things that catch my eye. So then it's like, oh, I really like this Haim album. Let me put it on here. And of course, it didn't make my list, but that's one album.
Oh, Haim is so good.
Yeah.
They're like the female version of Hanson.
Well,
I'm joking.
They're a bit better than that.
Yeah.
Their album was one that I had a lot of consideration for as well. So instantly, after I heard it once or twice, I said, okay, I'm putting this on my list, and we'll see where it goes from there. So they're not in any order at first. They're all jumbled. But if I like some that really stand out, I'll bold them. And this goes on for the entire year. And then at September, that's when I start taking into consideration, okay, what's still to come out? What do I have now? Let's start ordering these things up and see where we go from there. And I give albums repeat listen. The problem with the end of the year is I like things from the 30s. I like things from the 60s. I like all eras of films and music and whatnot. But I rarely get to visit them during the last 4 months of the year because I'm busy trying to piece together what I have for this year or for that respective year. So for 2013, I listened to Daft Punk, My Bloody Valentine, the newer stuff, of course, Arcade Fire, Vampire Weekend, These New Puritans, Dark Side, all of that. I just had them on permanently, pretty much. And for films, that's all I saw. I went to the theaters all the time.
I think that's the thing, right? The technical aspect of albums is one thing, but then the ones that you find that you listen to the most, those are the best ones, right? Because that's why you listen to them the most.
Sometimes, like a good example.
Or are some like guilty pleasures?
Well, no, but a good example is The Knife. What's their album called? Hang on, let me look it up. But yeah, basically, what The Knife are a Swedish electronic duo that they have some really catchy early material. But then their newest album, which is Shaking the Habitual, there we go, I found it.
Okay.
Double disc. A lot of it's very experimental. It's not something I could put on whenever I want, but it's something that is so outside of the norm. It's something that takes so many risks that kind of work. Like, one of the last songs in the album has this sound for like 10 minutes that just sounds like scraping on a chalkboard almost, or like steel rubbing against steel, some really abrasive, weird, annoying noise, which at first is very uncomfortable. But then once it grows on you, it's like, wow, I've discovered something that I like and something I never thought I could. Do you know Swans at all?
Yep, I've heard of them.
You heard The Seer then, right?
Yes.
The Seer is kind of the same way. When you heard Mother of the World, I think the song's called, where it's just the exact same guitar sound for like 5 minutes. After the first time I heard it, I almost thought I was going to be sick. I was like, I can't. This is so repetitive. This is the worst. I cannot. And then it breaks out into its climax, which is completely radically different. And then suddenly it's like, wait, I want to experience that again. And now I love that track. I think it's fantastic. Same thing with
You won't be listening to that on the radio,
though. No, they're not going to put that on the radio.
Never on the radio.
It's way too long for the radio. No, but yeah, I mean, I can visit shaking the habitual here and there, but I can't put it on too often. So it's not going to have the most, and it's almost 2 hours long. I think it's really long, but no, so it wouldn't have more listens than say something that got lower, like well, ARTPOP, for instance, didn't even make the list, and that has
I found that really interesting.
It's got a lot of listens on that, but yeah, it just didn't make the list because it kind of did.
It made your which song made your Dope, right?
Dope,
that one made your Dope. Dope made your top songs of the year.
Yeah, Dope was fantastic. I thought that was a great track. But yeah, that has many more listens, and it didn't make it at all. And just because I felt like the other albums on there were a lot better. And for me, it's not about the play counts. I rarely take that into consideration. I'm rarely into, what have I been listening to a lot? In fact, it's the complete opposite. It's, wait, what have I not been listening to? Should I check this out again and see if I get anything new from it? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. So, another thing, and I'm going to make a transition here, but one thing that we want to try to do with this podcast is promote upcoming bands too, and
yes.
Especially local bands. So, next Saturday on January 11th, 2014, at the Drake Hotel will be the Box Tiger.
Yeah.
And they'll be opening for Kevin Devine, who's pretty cool too. But so our connection with the Box Tiger is that they're Canadian. Well, I think one of them's from Maine.
Yep.
But the lead singer is from nearby, and the drummer is actually one of our friends, Lauren Chan.
Lauren Chan, yeah.
Yeah, we went to the same high school.
This is crazy. It's like celebrity now. Wow.
Yeah, he's huge. I filmed his first band's music video in high school for a Comtech project. They were called Sticking Issues.
Oh yeah. We performed with them at one of the talent shows.
You were, yeah. At what was your band called? Empire? Were you Empire?
No, we weren't Empire. Empire was Mike Sala's band, wasn't it?
So what was your band? I forgot.
Our first band was Stone Mason. With,
yeah.
With Josh D'Souza. Whatever happened to that guy?
I don't know.
Huh.
Okay, anyways, it's not about him. He's not the famous guy now. It's Lauren Chan now.
Oh, you never know. He could be. Just not to our knowledge. But yeah, no, this is Lauren Chan's show.
So, the Box Tiger. Hopefully we'll... I'm not going to promise anything, but we might have a special guest next week, and it may or not be them. So
if not, we'll try for somebody like Lady.
But we want to get interviews, and they won't even be interviews. We'll try to get them as special guests, like on the show, talking throughout the whole thing, getting their commentary and analysis on the music industry and all of that.
Oh, for sure.
So, what did you think of their album that they released earlier this year on August? Set Fire.
Well, for first, I think it's their first album, right?
No, I think it's their second.
Or is their second?
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's the first with him.
Well, it's the first with him, yeah, with this lineup. Well, for a band that's just starting out, I thought it had a lot of ideas in it that were pretty impressive, especially with an indie pop kind of sound. A lot of local bands you'll find will have some sort of an idea and they'll stick with it the entire song because it works. The Box Tiger had a lot of ideas that just came out of nowhere on their album, and pretty much every song it had like a bit of a shift that wasn't too radically different, but you could tell that they thought outside of the box, and they did work pretty hard on saying how can we make this sound different than a lot of other local bands, because that's why people make it. It's because they try something that's different, or they try something that's better than just the norm. And I thought the fact that they tried having just these different patterns within the songs was pretty creative. I like that.
No, I liked it too. So I wrote down some brief notes on some of the tracks that I enjoyed the most.
Go ahead.
So I think the very first track they had, Bleeding Heart, was a great energetic start to the album.
Yeah, that's one of the best for me on the album.
Yep. And The Hollows, that track in particular reminds me, like, vocally of the Yeah Yeah Yeahs.
A lot of them do. She's very Karen O. And now that both you and Lauren had suggested that Sonia was influenced by Yeah Yeah Yeahs, that I can hear a lot of that, actually.
That's great. No, they're a great band to be inspired by. And so actually my favorite track on Set Fire is Hospital Choir. I love the pace of that, and the way she controls her vocals, the ups and downs. That's pretty spot on. That's pretty hard to do.
Yeah, she's very noticeable, that's for sure. And every musician within the band does bring something to the table. But she is very noticeable, I will say that.
And finally, I felt that Julian, I think that's the last track, was the deepest and probably that's their progressive track. Yeah, that's their progressive track. I love the build up to that one.
No, it was good. And yeah, it's another track that does something a little bit different. And that's the thing, like, you could tell that there was a lot of effort put into this album. Having said that, because they're still young and they're still new and still trying things out, I didn't get kind of like a big punch from any of these shifts, you know what I mean? But the fact that they're still experimenting with that means that they'll find because that's what you got to do. You got to practice. You're not gonna. How many albums or how many musicians have like one of their first or second or whatever albums being their best, right?
I don't know, Lorde. It could be.
I think you'll bite yourself for saying that.
Okay, yeah, no, she might. I'm sure she'll do more.
Better.
Yeah, no, I'm sure she'll do amazing things in the future. But like, okay, so.
But yeah, like, yeah. So it's rare for you to be good unless you're Television or Guns N' Roses. Now, having said that, the fact that they are starting to at least experiment means that they will find bigger punches later on. So I'm not too worried about that.
So I don't think musicians should take journalists or analysts recommendations to heart, but what would you say they should do if they want to get bigger? Like, which direction should they focus on with their music?
Okay, well, a good example of somebody they can take a bit of influence from would be somebody like Vampire Weekend, where they have a lot of shifts in their new album, Modern Vampires of the City. Like, Hannah Hunt. Have you heard the album?
Yep. Yes, I have.
Okay, Hannah Hunt is very slow and very quiet, and then it just explodes into this kind of swirling melody near the end. And that's the kind of thing. If you're experimenting with the kind of shifts that a lot of indie bands will do like that, you got to see why the shifts work. So the fact that they're trying and experimenting with shifts is fantastic, because you'll hear a lot of local bands where it's like, okay, I'm tired of this album. No, the album's short. It's sweet. It's got a lot of things going on. So I did, of course, enjoy it. I liked it. It just didn't like kick me in the gut like it possibly could have. And I know that they actually
got to punch it up, I guess.
What's that?
Yeah. They got to punch it up for the next one. That's what
a little bit. You got to see why transitions work. You got to see why.
So why didn't it punch you in the gut?
Because it was not like they played anything safe. It's I don't know how to explain it, because it wasn't. The thing is, it wasn't underwhelming. I don't want that to the kind of the message of this. It wasn't an underwhelming album. In fact, it was very delightful. I liked it.
So they're still trying to find their groove or their little niche, or
well, no, they've got their sound. They've got who they are essentially. When it comes,
they just need to go full force with it.
yeah. When it comes to these kind of shifts that they're trying to do, like they do work, but to get them to work even better, you've got to have them possibly sounding more surprising without sounding too far fetched. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that does.
Something that still fits in the song, but it's like I did not see that coming. And suddenly the song feels more complete, and you wouldn't imagine it any other way. You know what I mean?
So they need surprise, an element of surprise.
Which they're starting to experiment with it.
Okay,
of course, because
that's fair enough.
Yeah, there's some sounds that come out of nowhere, and it's fantastic. There's some drum fills that just come out of nowhere, which it's really interesting. It spices up things. You could tell that they cared about each and every individual track by adding little nuances, so it didn't feel samey, which I really liked.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I thought that was interesting because when Lauren Chang came to me and he said, "I've been in bands before, this and that, but this is something that I feel really proud of showing out and like presenting to the world." I can see why, because it's something that you could tell has a lot of work put into it. But the fact that they're still young and are still learning how songs will work and flow into one another, especially because it's a new lineup, give them some time. They'll come up with something that'll really kick you. I know it.
Oh, I believe in that too. So you'll be at that show.
Absolutely. They're very promising.
Review it.
They're very promising.
So you'll get to not only review their album, but you'll get to see what they're like live on stage, which is also very, very important as a musician. Stage presence.
Of course, and I have a feeling that just from listening to them that they'd have a very good stage presence. Now, of course, you got to separate studio from live, but I've got a good feeling that I've got a good show coming up.
Yeah. Well, anything else you want to talk about in this episode? We're actually past the 1 hour mark, which is awesome.
I hope other people get past the 1 hour mark.
Oh my god! I'll break it down in the show notes so people know what's going on.
Perfect. No, that's about it. So, right. What do we have coming up? We have their interview coming up, hopefully.
Yes.
We have Oscars, which I'm wrapping up a lot of people who want to be a part of the show. And we'll have a debate. We'll have 1 or 2 episodes for a debate, maybe before the nominees come out and before the actual awards show.
That's right. We'll have we have a whole bunch of special guests from different fields of the entertainment industry, from film and music. This episode we focused pretty much all on film. I mean, music.
Oh yeah, Arcade Fire is my favorite film.
All right, whatever. But anyway, so some episodes will be all film.
Yeah,
could be.
Well, depends whatever's happening.
Yeah, and you have friends that will come on. I have friends that will come on, and we'll just have a nice time.
Yeah. Oh, it'll be great. No, we got some stuff coming up. But as for this episode, I think we wrapped up everything we wanted to talk about.
So yeah, you can follow yourself, Andreas Babiolakis on Twitter at Andreas Babs.
I think
I'm on Twitter at Sean Chin. You can follow this podcast, which has 2 followers right now.
Hey.
Which are, I think, record companies, actually, or something like that. Record labels or something.
Oh, that's good.
Small indie ones. But you can follow the podcast at Capsule Podcast. And then, of course, our parent company at Live in Limbo.
Perfect.
So, yeah, check out our feed, liveinlimbo.com and liveinlimbo.com/capsule.
Perfect. Thank you guys for listening, and thank you for listening to the first one again.
Take care.